This one's just Jim Doyle, holding his breath underwater, between Heatherland and Cam's legs. Bastard. The rest was done with a black tarp over a pool. This made the water look like it went on forever. So after the near-death experience, Nancy goes to her room and lays down and watches TV? Jeez, for a girl in a sleep equals death situation, she sure does like to relax.
Hey. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Glenn. Creep up to her window after her best friend was just murdered. Real nice.
I've got a crazy favor to ask you.
So it turns out Nancy has a plan to try to get to the bottom of what's happening in her dreams. And as a safety net, she has Glenn watch over her.
I want you to stand like a sort of a guard, okay?
So Nancy enters the dream state. And this is where things get a little strange, even for this movie.
Glenn? Are you still watching?
Yeah, so?
I'm just checking.
Okay, now I have to address the only recurring plot hole in this movie. It's about the line between dreams and reality. If Nancy's asleep, how is she talking to Glenn? Is she half asleep? And even excusing that, how is Glenn appearing in Nancy's dream if he's still awake guarding her? It just doesn't make sense, and I can't ignore it. So Nancy wanders around a bit until she comes across the jailhouse and looks into Ron's prison cell. And it looks like he has a visitor. Then her dead best friend makes another appearance, and it seems like she's in worse and worse shape every time we see her. So she ditches that messy scene for another jump scare and chase scene.
I'm here.
She runs back to her house, locks the door, and runs up the stairs right into another let's keep things cheap scene. Pancake mix. So she manages to get into her room, where she finds Glenn fast asleep. So Freddy jumps through the mirror to finish Nancy off. But she's able to fend him off until her alarm clock wakes her up.
Nancy?
Shit.
So Nancy's mom starts to knock at the door, and Glenn hides outside.
Are you okay? Yeah, just a little dream, that's all.
After Nancy gets rid of her mom, she calls for Glenn.
Glenn?
Oh no, what happened to Glenn? Did he fall asleep and Freddy got him? Did he fall off the roof? Did Nancy's dad catch him? Or nothing happened and everything's fine? No, really, that's not my editing. That's just how the movie was shot. She looks at the window, calls for Glenn, she gets no answer, and then gives a worried look. Then we cut right to them running up the stairs.
Come on. Garcia.
Nancy and Glenn go to the police station to make sure Ron is okay. And since Nancy says it's an emergency,
Look, it's urgent!
they rush to the cell.
Sleeping like a baby. He's not going anywhere.
We have reason to believe that there might be something very strange going on here.
Just go down and look at him.
All right. Garcia, give me the keys.
Where do you want to put the keys?
Okay, here's another one of those scenes where the line between reality and dreams are kind of blurred. Now, to my understanding, Freddy can only get you in your dreams. Therefore, he can only affect you, the dreamer. So, how is Freddy making a new side of the sheet? I can understand if Ron was just lifted up in the air like Tina, and we saw his neck sinking in while the scene flashed back and forth from Ron's dream to the real world. But this doesn't even look like he's dreaming. In fact, to me, it looks like Ron woke up when he felt the noose around his neck. Follow your own rules, Wes! The next morning, Nancy's mom takes her to a sleep clinic to see if she can get to the bottom of all this. But the plan totally backfires.
What's she doing?
But this time, Nancy brings something out of the dream with her.
Something out from my dream. Where did you get that? I grabbed it off his head.
So they go home to calmly discuss this new development.
Fred Krueger, Mom. Fred Krueger.
You'll feel better when you get some sleep.
Or maybe I should grab that bottle and veg out with you.
Fred Krueger can't come after you, Nancy. He's dead.
You knew about him all this time?
You'll feel better when you get some sleep. It's just as simple as that.
Screw sleep!
It's just a nightmare.
That's enough.
Nancy meets Glenn in a secluded part of town on an empty bridge. So secluded and empty that Glenn feels safe enough to act way out of character and explain some complex Balinese dream techniques with no explanation on how a 17-year-old kid would know this kind of stuff.
They got this whole system they call dream skills. So if you have a nightmare, for instance, like falling, right?
Right?
Well, instead of screaming and getting all nuts, you say, okay, I'm gonna make up my mind that I fall into a magic world. Or get something special like a poem or a song. They get all their art and literature from dreams. Just wake up and write it down. Dream skills.
So Nancy comes home to find bars on her doors and windows in what must be the fastest installment job in the world. Nancy finds her mother drunk, again. And finally, she breaks down and tells her about Fred Krueger.
Come down to the cellar with me and I'll tell you. He was a filthy child murderer who killed at least 20 kids in the neighborhood. Oh, the lawyers got fat and the judge got famous, but somebody forgot to sign the search warrant in the right place and Krueger was free just like that. We found him in an old abandoned boiler room where he used to take his kids. Then lit the whole thing up and watched it burn. But he can't get you now. He's dead, honey, because Mommy killed him.
Well, at least that explains why she's so insistent that Freddy can't be the killer. She killed him herself. So later that night, Nancy calls Glenn, who's dressed in his "it would be gay if it weren't the 80s" outfit, and tells him about her plan to get Freddy.
Just give me some help nailing the guy when I bring him out.
Bring him out of what?
My dream.
How do you plan to do that?
Just like I did the hat. Have a hold of this sucker when you wake me up. If I can't, then you can all relax because it's just a case of me being nuts.
Yeah, well, I can save you the trouble. You're nutty as a fruitcake.
Don't worry, Johnny. Your mind will start to slip one day, too.
Tell me about the fucking golf shoes.
I grab the guy in my dream. You see me struggling, so you wake me up. We both come out, you whack the fucker, and we got him. Just meet me at my porch at midnight. Oh, and meanwhile, don't
Fall asleep.
And Nancy's efforts to wake him up are deterred by more bad parenting.
Just a minute. It's her. She wants to talk to Glenn.
Give me that. Glenn's asleep. You'll have to talk to him tomorrow.
Asshole!
As a matter of fact,
Double asshole! Nancy's unplugged phone rings, and we have yet another blurred reality moment. Here, when Nancy picks up the phone, the lower half turns into Freddy's mouth. Now, Nancy is clearly awake. So once again, how is Freddy doing this? How is he making contact with her while she's still awake? You're better than this, Wes! So with the help of the parents' ignorance, Freddy is able to take Glenn.